Hello, everyone. It's Sunday once again. Uh, Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone, or to all our dear Irish friends. Um, I was gonna sort of like practice how you say St. Patrick's Day or Happy St. Patrick's Day in Irish, but Aidan, my husband, has actually sort of like told me about it. I thought maybe he's gonna send it, he's gonna tell me how to say it. But anyways, Happy St. Patrick's Day, not just to all the Irish people all over the world, but to all of us, because I think on this day, every single one of us is a bit Irish. So yeah, it's Sunday once again. Um, it's now 2 o'clock in the UK, 10 o'clock at night in Manila. Welcome to another episode of Ask the Drummer. Today's guest, uh, I saw them. I saw them sort of like live last month. Oh, sorry, Aiden is just sort of like said. It's Laila Pedrig Suna Gwit. That's how, I think that's how you say it. So okay, I hope I didn't offend any of our dear Irish friends, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I saw his band last month, and they were absolutely amazing. And I'm really glad that he said yes to Ask the Drummer. My dear friends, please welcome Jack Rainbow.
Hey,
Yay! Jack Rainbow, what a name.
good
How are
telling
you?
you.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. I'm doing really well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, obviously, was out last night celebrating St. Paddy's Day with a couple of my friends.
Yeah.
But all good today. Feeling nice and fresh. It's a nice sunny day in Manchester, so all good. How about yourself, Han? How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. So have you got Irish blood yourself?
No, no, I know. No, I don't. I don't at all. Fully just British, unfortunately. Quite basic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, how have you been since the last time I saw you? So like opening for the Clockworks. Have
Yeah.
you had any more gigs?
Yeah, well, since then, what have we done since then? So obviously we were on tour with the Clockworks then. So I think you saw us on the second night, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, in
Um,
Manchester. Yeah.
yeah. So after that, we went down and played again with them in Cambridge, which was really cool at a place called the Portland Arms.
Yeah.
We've never done Cambridge before, so that was really nice. And then I think since then we've done one other Manchester support gig for
Oh,
martial arts at Soup Kitchen. I'm not sure if you've heard of martial arts. Um,
no, I know where Soup Kitchen is because I really like that venue. It's really
yeah,
nice and intimate. So
awesome
yeah.
venue. We've been working on a few bits and bats as well. One quite big thing, which I'm not really meant to talk about, which
Oh,
is something that
okay.
we're doing this year. So I'll be a bit coy about it, but we'll basically just live music and recorded music. So it's a bit of a project we've got going on at the minute, which we've been keeping us really busy. And we'll be gigging again in a headline in London in April. And yeah,
Oh,
got quite a few
great.
things planned for the next few
Oh,
months. So it's quite
that's
exciting.
brilliant. Well, we'll talk about that more later on in the show. But first, I just want to welcome you to Ask the Drummer. Episode 118 is all about you, Jack Rainbow. So, Jack Rainbow, is that really your name?
Yeah, yeah, no, really is. It's a bit of a unique name for sure. But yeah, no, that's genuinely my name.
Oh, so,
Um,
yeah.
it's
Where are
not a
the
stage name.
rainbows?
It could be a stage name, couldn't it? It's
But
not.
where are the rainbows from?
The Rainbows. Well, we're from. Where are we from? We're quite boring, really. We're just peasant stock from England. But yeah, my grandparents were born near around London area. So kind of Southern heritage. My granny's from Scotland. We've got a bit of Scottish in us as well, but I couldn't actually tell you where Rainbow the surname's from. But where I'm originally from, where my family's from, is at the minute is down in Brighton. So I moved up here by myself for university about 5 years ago. And coincidentally, my friend Sam moved up as well, who we formed Pyncher together with a couple of other friends up here. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely not Mancunian. It's from all around the other rest of the UK, but not Mancunian.
Well, it's just that when I like got to know about Pincher, your band Pincher, and the name was Jack Rainbow. I thought it was sort of like a stage name because in the past, quite a lot of sort of like musicians and celebrities, maybe Hollywood people, they have they had stage names. They didn't really use their real names. So I was just sort of like surprised that your real name is actually Jack Rainbows.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be a stage name. Like I said, I don't know how many drummers use stage names anyway, but if I was to do a stage name, I wouldn't need one, would I? I could just keep the
No,
surname,
no, of
maybe put
course
something else
not.
in
Yeah,
front of
yeah.
it.
There are probably not many rainbows around because I don't think I've heard of someone called Rainbow in the past.
Well, in the village we live in, it's not a very big village. It's probably about 7,000 people, where the village I grew up in. And there is another rainbow family there, so we're not the only rainbow family in that little village. So I
Yeah,
think I don't know how many there are because, like I said, I don't know any others myself. But I do think that there is actually a surprising amount of people with that surname just dotted around the UK. You can find a few rainbows if you look hard enough.
yeah. So growing up in Brighton, so because I asked you this before we went on live, that I asked you if you're from Manchester, and you said no, you're from Brighton.
Yeah,
Um, what was that like? Because Brighton is sort of like a music city as well, isn't it? What was it
yeah,
like
no, it
growing?
definitely is. So, just I guess for simplicity, I say Brighton. The same way someone who lives in Surrey would say London.
Oh,
Someone who
yeah,
so I don't actually reside. I don't come from Brighton, but the town I live in is about a half an hour drive on the outskirts of Brighton. Culturally and musically, that would be the hotbed from where I grew up. That would be where you go for gigs. That would be where you go for drinks. That'd be where you go for everything.
yeah,
So traditionally, I just say I'm from Brighton because culturally, I would consider myself from Brighton, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
so yeah, musically, it was an awesome city. There was some really cool, good venues there, and I'd really recommend any band up in North, if you get a chance to play in Brighton, just take it with both hands because it's got a great gig culture. It's got some phenomenal independent venues such as the Prince Albert, the Green Door Store, places where you can have a really, really good time and people will just flock to. Um,
yeah,
the
yeah,
scene's pretty good down there. It's always been a pretty vibrant place. You get a nice mix of bands from London who will come to play, bands from across the south coast who will come down, and obviously there's a lot of good bands who come from Brighton. Um, it was an interesting year group I was in at my school in Stenning. We had quite a musical cohort. So I'm not sure if you've heard of the artist Maisie Peters. She was in the same year group as me, and we did a lot of music together. There's a few other
oh,
people as well who've gone on to be in bands like Biba Doobie, Opus Kink. We're all in that same year group.
yeah, yeah,
So it was a really small school, but for some reason, Stenning and Brighton just had a lot of pretty good musicians, and it was really nice to be part of that scene and play around when I was at school and meet people and do different things. So yeah,
yeah.
I guess musically it was a really, really good place to grow up, and it was a place where there wasn't too much. There was enough people doing it that you didn't feel self-conscious or shy to express yourself musically. So it was really nice.
Yeah. So, but your family, you from a musical family, your mom and dad, or do you have a
Um,
sister?
yeah, well, I am to an extent, but also not really. So my grandma was a music teacher at primary school, and my parents, my dad's biggest regret from being younger was never learning an instrument. Like he's always spoken
Oh,
about it, about it was his biggest regret because he never got the
yeah,
chance. So he almost just plopped me on a piano from the age of 5 and gave me a teacher. Um, and I remember that first lesson. I can remember it very vividly. I was crying, screaming like I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Um, because it was obviously overwhelming as a little 5-year-old to just be told, right, you're learning piano. But
yeah,
it was one of the best things that's ever happened for me. Because I kind of expanded in that. I went on to play violin. I played saxophone very successfully. And then I kind of accidentally started teaching myself drums at about 16.
yeah, yeah,
So drums was almost the natural conclusion because I've always been quite into rhythm and quite enjoyed like playing kind of cajon and stuff like that and tapping. I've always been a tapper, but I've never really put two and two together and thought, well, that could mean I could do drumming. But yeah, it was almost coincidental and accidental that I got into drums, but it's something that I've kind of stuck with more than the other instruments, so to speak.
yeah, yeah. Well, Aiden is our tech support. He said that sound and vision and great. So that's very good. You've learned other instruments when you were young before you actually got into drums. Was there sort of like a certain point in time, maybe you saw someone, you went to a gig and you maybe saw a drummer, or maybe you were watching telly and then I don't know, maybe you saw a drummer playing and said, "Oh, that's the one that I wanted to do," or was it just so like you said, it's like a natural thing, and you just drawn to the drums and not really violin or piano or saxophone. So
Uh, well, I was definitely drawn to saxophone, and that's always up until very recently. I consider saxophone my main instrument. But it was really a case of I got to the age of 16 and I played cajon for my music practitioner course. And I had a friend called Joe who really, really wanted to start a band, but he just didn't
yeah,
know drummers. And I just remember really clearly him saying to me, like, just jam and just play some drums and see how it goes. Because he just thought I'd be a good drummer, and he's always said it. And I think from a selfish point of view, he just wanted to start a band with people who he knew was friends with. So he didn't really care if I was naff or not. And I'll always remember he put on a Cream documentary. And we sat and watched this Cream documentary, and I can't remember the drummer's name now, I really should know it. But
Jamaica.
yeah.
Yeah,
Really bad name. But it was just, I've never really been a Cream fan, but I just remember watching that documentary and just thinking, wow, like it was so fascinating, and the music sounded so full of energy and vibrant. And I quickly kind of did realize that I could pick up beats fairly easily. Now, that band has an album out. It's crap because we were 16. On Spotify. Sorry, am I allowed to swear? I'm sorry for swearing. But my old band Red Haze has an album out, and you can listen through it. And you'll notice if you listen to it that my drumming was quite irritating and jarring because I was young and I'd been self-taught, but technically I was doing a lot of fills without a lot of real kind of just rhythmically keeping the beat. And it was almost like that classic mistake that I think a lot of drummers can make, especially at the start, where you try and be almost the center of attention rather than knowing your spot. But yeah, it was definitely that Cream. I remember watching that Cream documentary, just the way it kind of worked and seamlessly slotted in with the rest of the band. Just thinking, wow, I'd love to do a drum like that. And then self-taught myself from there, really.
Well, what was the name of the band? And you said that you had an album. You released an album.
Red Haze. Yeah. We did a self-released album at school. So we recorded an album. I mean, it was mixed it ourselves. But yeah, we did an album called Lucid Dream back in 2018. Just like literally school kids. Just after school, every day we go in and record the album, which is a really, really cool thing to do. And it's definitely taught me, because if you listen back to it now, I'll be like, well, I wouldn't do that like that. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, we've done that is something I'm definitely proud of, because I mean, 16 to 18-year-olds just sitting in a studio at school and recording an album. I think there's something really cool about that.
Yeah. So was it self-financed? So, or did you have any sort of like record companies or like releasing
No,
it?
we literally, when I say we did it at school, I mean we literally set up the mics ourselves for our music coursework. We came in after school every day for months, set it all up ourselves, recorded it ourselves, mixed it ourselves, mastered it ourselves, and then just released it ourselves. So it's completely independent. We didn't do it in a studio. We didn't even do it with any professionals. It was all us.
Yeah. And was it released on a physical format or just sort of like?
No, just Spotify. It was never released anywhere professional. It's not. Honestly, it's not of the quality to be. Because obviously we had no one mix. It was when you're mixing your own stuff and you. I mean, he did a great job with it, Joe, but he's not professional. Do you know what I mean? So there were songs where there was timing issues. There were songs where there was things that just quite visibly aren't and clearly aren't quite right. So it's not like a serious album. I wouldn't say it's something which is professional. However, it was something that we did ourselves, and really while I was learning drumming, did it. So it was a really cool thing for us to do.
Yeah, of course.
Without being any under illusions that it was ever going to get massive or anything like that, because it was just ourselves doing something for ourselves in our school days.
So this was in Brighton. So this was sort of like a Brighton band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an interesting experience, because obviously we were 16 turning 17 turning 18. not really being allowed to play many venues, because obviously when you're not under 18, that venues can be a bit funny about it.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
we were having
Yeah.
to book our own gigs, put our own support slots on, find people to bring some parts of the drum kit. I was often having to kind of organise a lot of this, find support bands who you could bring people. And obviously we're not old enough to bring our friends because they're not allowed in the venues because they're under 18. Um, so it was really, we were really kind of young and inexperienced and figuring it out. But it really did help me coming into Pyncher, because obviously by this point we're in a much more, A, all our friends can come to our gigs and support us. B, we've got kind of more infrastructure around us now. But it was a really good learning experience for me, building
Yeah.
kind of networking connections and playing around the Brighton area at that age. To
Yeah.
go into that now as a 23, 24-year-old, play with Pyncher, it was a really useful time in my life.
Was Sam in your band? Because you said before that Sam was also from Brighton. So was he in the same band?
No, he wasn't. Sam started learning music very, very late. Sam was learning guitar for the first time at around the age of 18, 19. So
Okay.
he always loved music. So he'd always come watch our gigs with Red Haze. He was one of the more loyal friends in coming to support us. But it was never, I never kind of, he wasn't someone who I thought, well, he could be doing music. Um, he always had an interest. He'd do kind of more singy songwriting stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was never, he never took it uber seriously up until, like I said, the age of 17, 18, when he just taught himself guitar on a whim.
Yeah.
And then he kind of, he moved up here as well. And he was just saying, Jack, I want to start a band. And I was like, well, yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't believe it as much as I probably should have at first. So he actually said to me, he said this not that long ago, like, I didn't actually think you were serious about being in the band. And to be fair, I wasn't, because I didn't know how legit it would be. I didn't know if it'd be the kind of music I'd want to do.
Yeah.
But obviously Sam's my friend, so I kind of gave it a chance. And I ended up loving it. Sam's got a real rawness to his songwriting, or had a real rawness that made it very unique.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because he's, again, like me, he's not self-taught.
Hello. Oh, just lost you there. Hello.
Am I still here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm,
could hear
I'm
you.
back now. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yeah. The camera is a bit so like not
Hello?
working. Yeah, but that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry, what am I up to? I think my Wi-Fi just went very momentarily down.
No, that's
Can
all
you hear me okay
right.
now?
Yeah, that's fine now. Yeah. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Sorry
Yeah,
about
you were talking about, like you and Sam, so like forming a band together, and when
that.
you,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
who moved to Manchester? Who came to Manchester first? Was it you or
Me.
was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
you.
me. Yeah, so I moved up here for university and stayed up. And musically, like I said, the band started during the very first few months of COVID, which obviously was good and was bad. And I think we spoke about this ourselves, about being good and bad. But it was bad because obviously we had months and months and months of nothing to do, apart from rehearse. But that was also a benefit because we were able to. I reckon if we'd been able to gig early, we'd have been doing a lot more covers, a lot more kind of half-finished songs, which would have been
Okay.
okay. But because
Yeah.
of But actually, by the time we started gigging in that, I don't know if you remember July 2021 when everything reopened.
Yeah.
Um, when we actually started gigging, everyone was coming to gigs because they missed it all so much during COVID.
That's true.
Um, it was the perfect time to kind of build some momentum in Manchester, in Brighton, in Worthing, and we loved it. So we just gigged and gigged and gigged and gigged. And like I think I was saying while I cut out, Sam's got such a rawness to his songwriting, which he's obviously become more defined and less raw, but it means that he can kind of think of things that are a little bit outside the box and a little bit kooky and a little bit silly. And because he's not being kind of trained to do things in a conventional way, it
Yeah.
makes him a really kind of interesting and unique songwriter. And then I think that works for us because you combine that with Britt, who's pretty similar. Britt's self-taught, but you've also got Harvey, who's very, very kind of high-level guitar, like grade 8 guitar.
Yeah.
So So between us, we have a nice blend of kind of untrained but very kind of good musical ears, and people who are kind of more trained in music theory, such as Harvey and myself, who can kind of
Yeah.
help kind of plan out ideas. So I think in general it's a really nice blend of people musically. Um, and yeah, like I said, Sam wasn't in that band, just to kind of caveat back, but he was always one of the main supporters.
Oh, right. That's how he sort of like knows you already. Because I mean, I think it was Sam who actually sort of like send a message to sort of like say that you're the best drummer in Manchester, and I thought, oh my god, I've got to go and see. I've got to go see in this band because it's like if we say that he's the best drummer in Manchester, got to make sure that I get him on as the drummer.
I'm certainly not the best drummer in Manchester, though. I do appreciate. I'm not even. I wouldn't even put myself in the top
I,
15.
I can see now why Sam is a fan of yours as well, because he was sort of like following you when you were in the Brighton band, when you were
Oh no,
thinking.
he was horrible about that album. We were listening to that album the other day, and he was like, "Jack, your drumming's crap." He was, so I'm not sure if he was a fan of me. He was like, "It's too busy. The drums are too busy." He was just lamenting my drumming skills for the whole journey. So no, I'm not sure. Not sure about that.
Can you tell me more about forming during the COVID year? Because I mean, I know it feels like it's like a long time ago now, but what was it like? Because at the time, were you even allowed to sort of like see each other? So how did you rehearse, and how did you sort of like write the material and stuff?
You were able to rehearse. I'm not sure. I remember that much. We had a rehearsal room, and we were able to go to that. Um, I can't remember specifically what the rules were, and if we were if it was just households that were allowed to go. But I'm pretty sure we were allowed to rehearse. We weren't
Right.
living together, so we weren't able to really hang out or anything at all because obviously it was lockdown. But
Yeah.
there had
Yeah.
been a slight relaxation of lockdown rules by the time we were doing this. It wasn't like it was like the second lockdown. It wasn't the first one. It was the second one. So yeah, it was me, Britt, Harvey, and Sam. It was always us.
Yeah.
And I remember we used to go to, I've forgotten the name of it, Brunswick Mill rehearsal, which is now shut down. Brunswick Studios.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 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 Hello.
Hello, yeah, you're back now. Just cut out for a split second.
Yeah. Am I still?
Yeah, all good, all good. So we rehearsed at Brunswick Mill Studios for about 6 7 months, just solidly every week, once or twice, because it was something to do as well. Do you know what I mean? It was pretty boring time, and to kind of have that to look forward to alongside uni and alongside everything else was important. Um, I knew Britt from a house party, so I met Britt at a house party, and we just became mates. Meanwhile, Sam and Harvey met at a Beatles society in first year for uni. So it was almost like we kind of knew enough people. It was a bit of a mishmash, but it has worked out. And obviously now we've become really good friends off the back of being in the band as well, as you'd
Yeah.
hope, because you spend a lot of time together, don't you? So I think you've got to make some sort of friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. So it's sort of like you and Britt, and then Sam and Harvey, and then you saw like, but Sam already knew you from your Brighton days, so that's
Yeah.
how you sort of like just you got together, all four of you.
Me and Sam have been in the same friend group as well. We haven't just known each other as acquaintances. We've been very very close friends pretty much our whole life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it made sense for me and Sam to kind of do this together. And it was a really nice thing to do, and it has definitely brought us closer.
Yeah.
In regards to Brit, that was a bit more of a left field option. I didn't really know if she'd be keen, but Brit had told me when we met at this house party, I've taught myself some bass and I'd love to be in a band. And I remember showing Brit, ironically, some of the music that I was telling you about earlier that was self-made, the Red Haze stuff, and Brit quite liked it and liked the idea of being in kind of a more punky band.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I always thought, well, if I start a band, I'm gonna message Brit. And there was a couple of other times I nearly started a band and also messaged Brit. but this time it was like it made a lot of sense, and it was a real blessing because I always was really fond of Brit, but we were never really friends before. So this kind of was an opportunity for us to get to know each other and become mates as well. So it was all in all, it's a nice mix of people.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
bicker a lot. We can be a bit snappy with each other because you spend so much time together. But in general, it's a really nice kind of blend of people.
So, what was your first gig like, and where was it? Was it in Manchester when you did your first gig?
Oh, the first gig, Jesus, that was at the Green Door store in Brighton. So
Oh, was
it was a really hot summer's day. It was the second day that venues were allowed to open for gigs after COVID.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we were on the Saturday and it just reopened on the Friday. So we were the first support, obviously. So we kind of viewed it as a chance. We were literally one of the first bands playing since lockdowns ended. So it was quite an exciting thing for us. We were supporting a band called Caramel, and there was another band there called Attic, who we've become really good friends with. If you get a chance, get their drummer on the podcast because he is
Oh,
phenomenal.
what's the name of the band?
Attic.
Attic. Okay, yeah.
But
I'll
yeah,
make a note of that.
he's got an Instagram handle which is called like Raggy. I can send you a link to it. But he's a really really good drummer. But we were
Yeah,
supporting this band Caramel, and I just remember it really vividly. We'd obviously rehearsed enough. We knew the songs, but the nerves in the four of us. I mean, I was probably the least nervous just because I've done gigs before, but I was still really nervous. Harvey, bless him, had to keep calling his mum because he was so scared. um, and then Brit and Sam were just kind of pacing, but they were okay. But yeah, it wasn't just the gig anxiety; it was anxiety of the fact we spent so much time on these specific songs, and we just wanted people to know if we were in the right ballpark. Do you know what I mean? Because
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
know really until you show people these songs if they're interesting at all to them. And the reception we got was very very good. And at the time it felt like really really good. But it's ironic, isn't it? As you get older, people are more likely to tell you when they see you after seeing you on the first gig. They'll be like, "Well, you're so much better now than you were then." And you're like, "Oh, maybe we weren't that good." I don't know. But it felt really good. And I remember that gig just being like a real moment. Like, okay, we wrote these songs and they're good enough. Um, Obviously, I think now we're at a point. I don't think we play any of the songs that we played then anymore. I think they've all kind of been lost to history,
Oh,
or put onto Spotify and not been played now. We've moved through them, but nevertheless, it was still a really nice thing to be like, okay, we've got these songs and people kind of like them. We can work with that.
yeah,
Um, and after that first gig, it was just a case of we're going to gig as much as we possibly can, and that kind of became our motto. And we gigged as much. We took every gig we could for a little while, just because it was a thrill. It was something different. It was something exciting. So yeah,
yeah.
that was the first one.
Yeah. Well, I know this is like because I've I've looked up the band on Google, and I know it says that it's a Manchester band, but the only reason for that is because the band was formed in Manchester, but none of you are actually from Manchester. I think even Brett and Harvey, they're not from Manchester, are they?
No, no.
No.
Harvey's from Clove. Harvey's from Warrington. And Brit's from
Oh,
Blackburn.
right. Close. But where did the name where did the name pyncher come from? Because the first thing that came to my mind when I heard the name pyncher is like, yeah, do you know Pokemon? There's a
No, is it a Pokemon?
there's a Pokemon called Pinsir, and I was all like thinking, these are
Oh,
young guys.
that's a cooler reason. I'll be honest. It wasn't. It wasn't. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it has a deep intrinsic meaning of hope or love or beauty because it doesn't. Um, it's very hard, to come up with a band name which doesn't sound pretentious or disingenuous or kind of lame. And we were racking our brain for a while before we came to Pyncher, just trying these different names, seeing what was interesting, seeing what was relevant. And in the end, it literally came down to Sam picking up a Shakespeare book and finding a word and changing it a little bit with a Y and thinking, oh, I like that, pyncher. That is literally it. It's not. I could lie and say that it's because of some deep philosophical meaning, but it's really not. It is a silly story, a bit like that, which I think suits us. I think ultimately our kind of goal is to not be too serious, because I think a lot of bands at the minute are very, very serious. Um, now, I'm not saying we're going to become a completely theatrical, but there definitely is an element of us which we want to keep a bit silly, and keep a bit kind of different. So yeah, that's basically what it's going to be like. I think that's kind of fits the theme nicely on what we're trying to do.
And it's not about sort of like pinching other people.
No,
So like,
no. I mean, there actually is another band. This is the thing as well. Like, there is another band called Pinch, and they're really good. But there's
oh,
a band called Pinch with a Y, and there's a band called Pinched with a Y. So I think if we'd known about those two bands, we might have chose something else. To be
yeah,
fair, but we didn't. And like I said, it's ours now, and it's there to stay.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it was a bit of an accident. Like I said, it's not a name that's come through any deep meaning. It was a name that we literally plucked out of a hat.
Well, you mentioned sort of like how difficult it is to sort of like name a band or something. Because last night I was at a gig, and then the one across the road from where I was, I didn't go to that sort of like gig, but the one I went to the other one across the road. There was a band playing there, and I think the name of the band was like Fermenting of the Drags, and I was sort of like thinking, what does that mean? And I looked them up. I think it's like they're a Japanese band or something. But anyways, yeah, I know it is kind of hard because you want to have a meaningful name for the band and not just so like so it's,
It really depends. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean to other bands, because I know some bands they come from something quite important to them, and I completely empathise with that.
yeah.
I just think there's a lot of band names out there, and I'm not sure if you agree, that are quite pretentious and don't really roll off the tongue. I'm not going to name any examples because I think that'll get me in a bit of trouble. But I think there's a lot of band names for me which are just a little bit serious. I'm not even. I don't think they need to be, because ultimately, if you look at kind of bands who've been really successful, like Nirvana, Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're not meaningful names, but because
Yeah,
the songs are good and because people like them, they become meaningful.
yeah, that's
Um,
true. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think the band name ever really matters. I think it's the music that matters, and then if people like the music, they'll like the band name. The band name becomes cool over time. Does that make
yeah.
sense?
And yours is actually stylized because it's all sort of like small letters, right? It's
Yeah, all
not
lowercase.
capital.
We don't like it. If someone puts a capital P in there, we don't like it. Has to be
I got to
lowercase.
remember. Yeah, I've got to remember that now. Not to put capital P. It's also like
Yeah,
small letters. so,
we'll be annoyed if so.
so you mentioned earlier that you'd be doing a headlining gigs because I actually found out from Tigers and Flies that you did a gig together.
Oh, we've done loads. Tigers and Flies. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've had Arvin on, haven't you? You've had Arvin on the podcast.
Yeah, well, I had Arvin Johnson, so like,
Yeah, I was going to say, you've had Arvin. Now, he's a really, really good drummer. He's one of my favourite drummers in
yeah,
Manchester. And he's a really, really good guy as well. I really like Arvin. But we've done a few gigs with Tigers and Flies. It was only a couple of years ago that for our Halloween costume, we dressed up as them, because they used to always wear red tops or red shirts with white trousers. So for our Halloween costume, we had a Halloween gig at Fuel. We just dressed up as Tigers and Flies. That was our whole costume.
yeah, because they always saw like dressed similar, like
Yeah,
the band,
they've always
like a
got
show
the now. I think they've changed it away from the red and gone for like white and blue. But I really did like the red and white. I thought that was really cool. But no, we played probably 2, 3, 4 gigs with Tigers and Flies, because we've been on the same circuit. We've become
Yeah,
very good friends with them, really. So if I see any of them out, we'll have a pint and have a chat. Like I said, I have a lot of respect and time for them. And Arvin, like you said, you've had him on the podcast, is one of the best drummers in Manchester, in my opinion.
yeah. I always call him the gentle giant because he's so
Gentle
tall, but
guy.
he's really gentle.
He's a lovely, he's very well spoken, isn't he? He's very articulate. He's got a lovely
Yeah,
voice.
yeah, yeah.
A
So,
voice for radio.
again, Tigers and Flies. I mean, they're also considered a Manchester band, but they're not from Manchester at all. They're also from down south. So, but what is it about? So, like, I always say this about so like Liverpool, but it's true about Manchester as well. There is something that if you say that a band is a Manchester band, there's already that advantage, don't you think?
Yeah,
That
I do. I think that comes from. I think there's a reason for that though. Without trying to sound pretentious, I think the difference is in Manchester, the scene is just so much stronger um, than pretty much any UK scene. And the people who will come to the gigs, you get more people here as well. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but like when there's a gig in Manchester, this is the thing I love about playing in the city so much. It doesn't matter who's on first, second, third support. People come for the night. They don't just
yeah,
come for the headline. And unfortunately, in London or even in other cities around, and it's not it's fair enough. People can do with their time what they want, but that's not the case. I think Manchester and Liverpool are very unique in the sense that people genuinely love live music here, and people will come and see bands they've never heard of. They'll connect with people. They'll come to see other gigs just because of that band they saw and that first support they loved. There's a real passion for music here, and it's a real kind of bubbling hotbed of cool people, a good scene, and the venues here are really, really good as well. So I think that's partly to it. People know that the Manchester scene's good, and they know it's got quite a high barrier to entry, similar to Liverpool as well. I'm not
yeah,
saying other cities don't have that because they. I don't want to be unfair because we've played in other cities and it's been awesome. But I think there's something about Manchester and Liverpool where there just is people just love music so much and will just come to see everything they possibly can and enjoy it all. So yeah,
yeah.
that's my theory.
That's
I
that's
just
a
think
very that's a very good one actually, and the same for Glasgow as well. I think
I've
Glasgow
never
is.
we've never played Glasgow. I'd absolutely love to play Glasgow. If you know any promoters in Glasgow, send them my way.
You should, yeah, you should like go there. You should have like Autocamper, Tigers and Flies, and Pyncher. That's all. Like
Yeah,
do a gig. So,
amazing. I absolutely love it.
yeah,
Definitely on our bucket
Manchester
list this year.
invasion.
Glasgow definitely on our bucket list.
Well, hopefully, yeah, hopefully you sort of like play there. So, you mentioned earlier that so you're going to be headlining. Are you allowed to say that now or?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Because I remember the name. I forget the name of the venue. We're headlining in London at the Old Blue Last on the 25th of
Oh, right.
April on Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah,
That gig's in London. So it's a free entry gig, but it's our first headline gig in London for a little while. So it's quite an exciting one for us. Um, we've also got a couple of other gigs booked as well, which have been announced on our Instagram. So I'm absolutely useless at remembering the names. But the next gig's going to be on the 25th of April in London. So yeah, we're
yeah,
really excited for that.
yeah.
In
Is
terms of what
Instagram sorry, is Instagram the best way to find out about Pinterest activities, or Facebook is okay as well? Do you
well,
update
yeah, I
Facebook?
think both are fine. Like I said, we have they link to each other now as well, don't they? So every post you do on Instagram will come on Facebook.
Oh,
So
okay, all right, yeah, 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 that's right, yeah, yeah,
I think we are, and I'm not sure I'm meant to say this. I'm just going to say it anyway. We are releasing a website which we had built, and that will have all of our venues and gigs immediately on it. So
okay,
yeah, like I said, that and our mailing list as well. We got a mailing list
yeah,
which
yeah,
we promote at every gig, which we'll send every update to. So yeah, there's a few different ways really. In terms of what else we've got booked, we're playing Kendall Calling in the summer on the Sunday,
oh, that's amazing, yeah,
which
that's
is
so
really
good,
exciting. That's a really exciting one. So we're going to be playing on the Tim Burgess stage on the Sunday, which is
yeah,
super fun. Which for us is something that like I said, we're looking to play festivals all the time, but it's so hard to get onto festivals without a booking agent. So
yeah,
for us to kind of get that opportunity to play to play a festival like Kendall Calling without a booking agent for us is really exciting.
So you do things
So yeah,
yourself.
it's
Do you do things yourself? So yeah, so like if people want to sort of like get you on a so like for a gig and stuff, it's just yourselves so like managing the band, or do you have someone? Do you have someone sort of like doing that for you?
we've just kind of appointed a manager a couple of weeks ago, so he's going to be helping us on kind of a freelance ad hoc basis. But um, Echo Chamber, so George from Echo Chamber is going to be helping us out with a few different bits and bats. In regards to kind of how do we get gigs, a lot of the time at the minute is word of mouth. So people will just send us through offers on our email or our Instagram, and a lot of the time you get support slots from bands you've played with before who like
Yeah,
you, who want to kind of do it. So that's for us the best way is just word of mouth and kind of taking offers when they come. I think you've got to really show that you're willing to play the gigs, and
mm-hmm.
also there is an element of kind of just needing to kind of support, obviously being willing to support bands, being willing to travel to support bands. That does kind of get you more interest and more kind of coverage. But yeah, in general for us it is just a case of we get emails offered through. Obviously, at some point, it would be good to get a booking agent who can help us more with the festivals, because a lot of these festivals are very very kind of hard to kind of get on without them. But
Yeah,
that's more kind of long term. Short term, we're pretty satisfied. Like I said, we've got things which we're working on, which hopefully is gonna help us get some traction with stuff.
yeah,
I can't say too much about that, but you'll become clearer as the year goes on what I mean, and why I think that will be important to helping us. But we're working on a few things as well at the minute, keeping us
yeah.
busy.
Well, what about releases? Like, are you going to be releasing an album soon, or sometime soon, or
See, this is
EP?
what
Or...
that might be what I've been told not to talk about.
oh, oh,
But
okay, sorry.
no, it's fine. I mean, obviously, it goes without saying that we haven't released a single in a little while. Um, that will be something that will happen very soon,
Very
and you'll be
soon.
able to hear about that on our Instagram and our mailing list.
Yeah, yeah,
In regards to kind of quote unquote the album, which I can't confirm or deny, that there is things in the works. So there will be a lot more music from us coming this year and next year.
yeah.
Um, and
So just
it's
some exciting news coming, and they
it's
just
an
have to
exciting
sort of
news
like,
coming.
yeah, follow you on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah,
They'll find out about it.
yeah. No, it's obviously exciting, and look, I'm not going to pretend. The songs are there, and they're done. So I'm really excited to show them to. We're really excited to show them to everyone. But obviously there is lots to be worked out and done and talked about and planned before. So I don't think
Yeah,
it's secret. I don't think it's a secret that we are going to be doing new music soon. Because it's been so long since our last release. So yeah, we're excited for that this year. Get some singles out, get people listening to us again, and hopefully everyone likes them.
yeah. Well, you are incredible live because, I mean, Sam, the singer, he's absolutely amazing. He's got all these moves. So,
He's very theatrical, isn't he?
yeah,
No, yeah, he's awesome. Like I say, he's a really good frontman because he's so like magnetic. Like he'll steal your he'll steal your gaze. He's doing some kind of silly dancing.
yeah,
Um, like I said, it comes back to not being too serious, but also kind of using that and trying to be a bit different and being a bit theatrical. Um, Honestly, it's not. It may seem like it's accidental, but it's not. Like I said, a lot of what he's done through trial and error.
yeah,
And while there is an impulsivity to his kind of movements and dancing, it is something he's kind of honed. Um,
yeah,
yeah, he's obviously an awesome frontman, and he gets a lot of kind of attention, and rightly so. Harvey and Britt as well. Obviously, for me, stage presence is important, but I'm sat down. But you will notice, obviously, if you watch Harvey and Britt, that they're also moving. Harvey's got this really kind of spaghetti leg kind of thing that he'll make sure he does, which has kind of become a bit
yeah.
notorious. And
But
Britt
it's good.
will bop around as well.
Yeah, it's good because you do a bit of singing as well. So it wasn't just like Sam doing most of it because you're doing a bit of backing. So is it hard for you to sort of like concentrate on your drumming and then singing at the same time? Or
You know what, it really is. It's hard because it's something you get better at. But obviously, with drumming, you're not just focusing on one hand; you're focusing on your other hand, but sometimes both your feet as well. So there's almost
yeah,
four
that's
muscles
right. Yeah,
moving, and then to also kind of turn your head enough to sing into a mic. When you first do it, you realise that you're not hitting the snare or you're not hitting the hi hat. You really have to work on kind of separating your neck from your body and just being able to kind of sing without being inhibited by the drumming. It's a bit confusing because obviously you realise you're having to do about five different things at once. But no, I've always liked doing backing vocals, and I think so is everyone in the band. Hence why we have four mics at the minute. I do think there's a lot more to come from them as well. I think there's different areas and places where we could use it. Um, I think in an ideal world, we work out some songs where all four of us could be singing at the same time.
yeah.
Maybe three, maybe me and Harvey doing harmonies, Sam doing the lead. And I do think there'll be a time where we will try do songs which are very more kind of backing vocal heavy and a bit more kind of vocal heavy. Um, but it is fairly new. If you come to see us 6, 7 months ago, it might have just been Sam with a mic. So it's not something we've been doing for a long, long time. Um, you might have
Yeah,
noticed as well, Brit's doing a lot more singing as well because she's obviously got really good range, and it gives us kind of something different. I mean, the female vocals as well.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Harvey's got a really kind of gravelly, deep voice, which can be really cool, and we need to figure out a way to use him a bit more as well. And basically, all I can do is I'm quite loud, so to have me in certain songs and just have that kind of volume, I think is something to
doing the
weapon. So,
shouting one, the shouting.
yeah, yeah. I think in an ideal world, you'd have all four of us sing. I do actually think there is some songs we've been kind of half writing at the minute, which are more vocal orientated. So I think there will be kind of a more singy kind of style and a bit more kind of harmonies and stuff with us in the
Yeah,
future. It's just about working out which songs and how to use it and how to get it going good best. But yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's quite exciting.
I'm always fascinated about sort of like the creating or making a song or writing a song. When does the drum part go into it? I mean, it always been sort of like Sam was writing the song, or maybe or have you sort of like written a song for Pincher, but it's always sort of like the drum part. When does it come, or how does
Oh,
it sort of like,
honestly, it's not one size fits all. So I'd say probably about if say we have 10, 15 songs, I say Sam's probably gone self-wrote 7 or 8 of them,
yeah.
maybe even more actually, of our songs. He's kind of wrote the whole song for, and that will include sometimes a style of drum beat which he would want me to do something similar to. Now, obviously, I put my own flavour on it, but,
Okay,
but
yeah.
definitely a lot of the drum beats originate from Sam going telling me how to kind of do it. um, I wrote one song for Pincher, which we play live, which is Shapeshifter. So I actually wrote that myself on my keyboard. So I wrote the drums for that, obviously myself. But in general, if a lot of the songs will also come from just kind of jams and kind of very loose ideas, which we'll work on as a band together. At that point, obviously, it would just be the kind of feel of what we're doing. So I'd say in general, it will be an idea Sam will come with, which I will then kind of make my own to a certain extent, but also make sure I keep with what he has in mind. Because obviously, if that's a song I want it to sound similar to, that's possible. Other times, I'll just do it all myself. Such as if we're jamming and whatever I think works with the jam, we'll try it out. And if anyone's got any tips, then I'll change it and do this and that and make sure it sounds good. But there's not really a one size fits all for drumming. It really does depend on the song and what we're doing and different parts of the song and tempos that people want implemented. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a one size fits all. Especially not for us because we figure out a lot of different ways to write songs depending on the
Yeah.
mood. We're quite impulsive with it as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. So like lots of exciting things happening for Pincha, and I know you're not allowed to sort of like say or confirm that there's gonna be a new album or maybe release out, but hopefully, yeah, we'll find out about that. But so when you're not drumming and when you're not in pyncher and stuff, so what keeps you busy? Do you sort of like have a day job or do you work or
Yeah,
what?
I mean, I work in sales at the minute, so in recruitment, which
Yeah.
is pretty decent. It obviously keeps me living up here, pays the bills. I also love going to the gym. So I'm often at the gym on the weekend just because I enjoy that. And often I'll find myself going out for breakfast on a weekend. That's something I always love to do. I'm
Do you
pretty
get
simple.
recognized? Do you
No,
get
no, God, no, no, I don't. Not
no?
really. No, 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 no. I don't think Sam sometimes does, but a lot of the time it's through. I say he gets recognised, but it'll be through mutual friends who just recognise him in the street, but they'll know obviously him from Pincher. But for me, I mean, I'd say there's been a couple times, maybe out gigs where my friends are playing, where they'll be like, "Oh, are you the drummer in Pincher?" And I'll be like, "Yeah," but it's not. I never view it. I'm not really. I wouldn't say I'd be recognised. No, not
What
yet.
about your colleagues, your work colleagues? Do they know that you're a drummer pincher?
Yeah, they know. They don't come and support me though, which is disappointing. No, no, yeah, they all know that I'm in a band. Obviously, a lot of the time I'll have to leave work and go straight to gigs, or sometimes I'll have to leave work and get a train down to London to play a gig and get a train back up. So that has happened a few times.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, they're all good about it. They support me, and often they'll be playing Pincher in the office, which I find quite embarrassing. But they'll do it almost to tease me. No, in general, yeah, they definitely know, and they'll always ask me how the album's going. Or shouldn't have said that. How the music's going, how, how have I got the gigs coming up, etc. So yeah, they're really good.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, it's nearly so like 3 o'clock, but I've still got the regular questions I always ask our guests. So first of all, do you twirl this? Do you do this twirling of the sticks when you play drums? I know you did one where you click it and then it's
So I do the
that's
twirling of the
actually
stick.
quite good as well. I like
I
that.
do the click above my head. I do the
Yeah.
click. Um, Do I do twirling? I'm not very good at that. I can do it. Like I can twirl the sticks, but I wouldn't do it so much when I'm drumming because I've got dyspraxia. So I'm very prone to dropping the sticks. So I have to be super attentive when I'm playing to make sure I don't drop the sticks anyway. So I'm not
Oh,
going to take any risk like twirling it. I might click it above my head, but if you
yeah.
notice, I'm grabbing hold of them as hard as I can while I do it.
I know.
But I can
That's
do it, yeah. And in rehearsal, I'll often do it. But yeah, I will drop the stick as well in rehearsal without really caring so much. Um, but when I play live, you don't want to drop a stick because it can mess up the whole song. So you've got to be very careful.
no, that's no, I don't know if it's just me who like it, but when drummers count, like the beginning of the song, when they go 1, 2, 3, I think I think that's really good. I always try and make sure that I capture that thing.
I've been told off for doing because I used to click, 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 start the song, and then the rest of the pinch were like that's too obvious. So now sometimes I've got an air click just to keep myself like 1, 2, 3, 4, and go into the rhythm. They don't really like me so much, which I think is a bit annoying. So I do think there's something about a natural click, which is quite cool
Yeah.
and kind of DIY. You know what I mean?
Well, next question is drumming heroes. Do you have any drumming heroes? Ginger Baker from Cream.
Next to Baker. I really like Ringo Starr, and I like him for a couple of reasons. I know he's not the best drummer in the world in terms of fills. I know he's not the most elaborate, but what Ringo did obviously is he drummed left-handed on a right-handed kit, and because of that, he kind of figured out different ways to do fills, and he was really the first guy to do that. No, I'm not left-handed. I drum right-handed on a right-handed kit. So, but however, I've kind of used certain elements of his fills, like going left hand first, right hand, left hand, right hand, rather than leading with the right hand all the time. And you can kind of get a bit of the difference in the fills and the variety, which can be quite nice. Also, he kind of tempo-wise was so locked in, and he always had the right feel for every Beatles song. He kind of showed actually you don't need to be so heavy on the fills all the time to be noticeable. You can just kind of keep the song very, very rhythmically sound, while
Yeah.
also adding a really kind of deep kind of feel and a deep groove. So yeah, I really liked Ringo. I think his kind of effect on the Beatles is really underrated. I think he did a really, really good job.
Yeah. I, there are some sort of like guests sort of like mentioned that sort of like left-handed sort of like thing, because you notice that immediately if it's a guitarist, because you know you can tell that the guitar is sort of like the wrong way. Well, not really the wrong way around. It's sort
Yeah,
of like a different
absolutely.
sort of
They're,
like
they're, they're
style.
they're not the normal way around.
Yeah. But with the drums, so is it the kit is sort of like
No, so
uh
yeah, so for the left-handed kit, so obviously the snare would be on your left. For me, as a right-handed drummer, the snare's on the left by the left foot by the left leg, and then there's the tom up there, and then the floor tom here. But it's completely flipped for left-handed people because obviously while I'd lead with the right hand, they'd lead with the left. So for them, it was be completely flipped. But the way Ringo did it is he kept it the same way, but still
yeah,
drummed left-handed first because he's obviously left-handed. So because of that, the way he'd kind of go into a fill, rather than lead with his right hand and go like that, he'd lead with his left hand, but it would kind of almost be backwards. It would almost be back to front. So we had to kind of figure a way to do this kind of back to front, just because he was taught that way. But because of that, it created a very different kind of style to the fill.
yeah,
Now he's not the
yeah,
only drummer or the first one who's going to do it. It was just really interesting because of the way he kind of learned. And it kind of did show sometimes you don't want to just lead with a generic right hand. You want to try practice with your left hand first as well. Because if you can manage to kind of master that, you will just kind of naturally do kind of different, kind of cooler kind of fills, which can really, really work.
yeah. What's your drum kit setup like? Have you got like loads
Very
of?
basic. It's very, very. Um, it's very simple. It's just a crash ride, a hi hat. Occasionally, I'll use a cowbell. I do love a cowbell. I think they're fun.
Oh yes, I love cowbell. I like it when actually drummers use that.
Yeah, I love a cowbell. So
Yeah.
I will use a cowbell, but only on a occasions because the rest of the band give me glares whenever I do it. No, I keep my drum kits out really, really simple, and a lot of that is deliberate. Um, I know that I can get a bit like all shiny things and try overplay sometimes when I have a bit too much kit. So for me, I think in terms of what works a pincher, it does need to be kind of stripped back, simple drums. Now, if I was
Yeah,
in a different kind of band as well, that might be scaled up a bit. But because of how kind of pincher play and how simple and kind of important it is that the drum line is very kind of structured, whilst also having some high energy. But most things I'll use to get that high energy will be out the ride, rather than kind of needing any kind of other elaborate equipment. So yeah, for me, it's deliberately simple.
yeah. Because I mentioned to you earlier that I'm not really very technical. I do love drummers, but I know nothing about sort of like drumming styles and everything like that. But recently I went to a gig and there were like three acts or three bands, and then I've noticed that the actual kit is actually just three. There's like the bass drum, that's sort of like the one that you kick, and then the was it the well the two, the snare, and then the other one.
Yeah,
But
I thought so. Yeah,
yeah, and then the so like the others, depending on which band is playing, they just put various sorts of things. They add things like the symbols or sort of like
yeah,
like things or what they call like breakables. I found out on that it's called breakables or something. So,
yeah.
so when you're so like in at the gig where there are three, maybe two or three bands playing, how do you adjust it? How do you so like say you're not the first, say you're the second one or maybe the last one to play? Is it hard for the band after the first band that played? Was it hard for you to sort of like adjust things the way you wanted it to be?
Well,
The way
it can be. I mean, obviously we get a sound check. So in the way the sound check works is the headline band. Sound check's almost back to front. So say there's three bands, the headline band will sound check first, then the main support will have sound check after that, and then the first support will sound check last because obviously then they're going straight into playing, so their equipment's all set up. So if
Yeah.
you're first support, for instance, at that point you get your quick kit set up for sound check and you just keep it up and it stays exactly the same. Um, Obviously, again, if you're a headline band, then you've got to accept that things are going to get moved around. People are going to use things slightly differently. So you would spend a little bit more time before the show just making sure you're comfy. Because for me, the comfort's the main thing. Some people have different arm span to me, so I want the snare a little bit closer, a little bit further away.
Yeah.
I've got a certain way I like things, so I'll obviously rejig it. So it really depends. Like I said, if you're first support, you set up once, and then that's it, and then you'll get the play the kit you way you want when you after the sound check. But for the headline and main support, yeah, you will have to kind of rejig things and change things around. But it's never anything drastic, really. Especially with the band scenes we're playing around here, it's not. You don't get too many kind of jazz fusion drummers who will bring on a whole array of different equipment and stuff. It's not really that common. We're all quite similar and boring.
Right, next question is disasters. Have you ever had any sort of like drumming accidents?
Oh
Like
yeah,
all the time that you were
I think I
playing
mentioned
since you were a
dropping
teenager?
sticks. That's been the main one for me. I've had a couple times where I've had a complete mind blank, where I've just completely forgotten the beat for a song, and I've just had to kind of make it up. And that's only happened very, very rare. That must have happened once or twice for very new songs. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that is scary. Because you get quizzical looks from the rest of the band, like that's not the drum beat that you. Um, in general, for me, no. The dropping sticks is the main thing. I've had times where I've dropped sticks. I've also had another time where my kick drum, my kick pedal, would just kept disconnecting from the drum kit because it wasn't propped up properly. And I was trying to get the sound guy's attention. I'm not going to name the venue because I don't want to get the sound guy in any trouble. But I was trying to get the sound guy's attention, and he was just completely blanking me. And that can be a really frustrating thing about a drummer. When I literally my kick was over here, I couldn't kick the drum because it was just
Yeah.
moving. And I think sometimes the frustrating thing is I don't think the sound guys can pay the drummers the attention they need. So it would be we'd finish the song, it would have been ruined by the fact I couldn't kick the drum. I'd say, "Can you come help me, please?" And he wouldn't get his attention. So poor Harvey would have to kind of put the drum back temporarily in place. We'd have to do the next song, and then we'd have to do that every single time. So yeah, I mean that's a couple of the things, just kind of logistical nightmares, and obviously the droppings of the stick. If you
Yeah.
drop a stick, then you have to play one-handed unless you have another stick ready to pull out, which I do now. But there was a time where I didn't have another stick spare, which I've learned from. So I dropped a stick and had to just try to play the rest of the song one-handed. It's not easy. It's certainly not easy.
So definitely no twirling, just in case
No,
you saw.
no, I'm not allowed. I'm banned. I'm banned.
There's this question. I don't always ask this, but sometimes I do. I'm gonna ask you: is there any sort of like favorite joke about drummers that you've heard?
Favorite joke about drummers? Oh, I'm gonna go blank here. Uh,
Because I mean, they always sort of like, I don't know what it is, but there's quite a lot of people who make fun of drummers. And so like they
oh
say,
yeah, they do.
you,
I mean,
he's the one who hangs around with the band or something.
I wouldn't say it was a joke, just a general feeling is that I get told off sometimes from the rest of the band because sometimes I'll whinge about obviously photographers struggle to get pictures of me, and because I'm right at the back.
Yes,
So
yeah.
sometimes I'll joke about being the invisible man because you'll see pictures of the other three looking all pretty and beautiful, but because I'm at the back, you won't be able to get a picture of me. So it wouldn't necessarily be a joke, but I guess that I'll get the mick taken out of me sometimes because I'll whinge about not getting any pictures. Stuck at the back of the stage, aren't I?
Well, that is true. I mean, I always sort of like find that it's so difficult unless you've got a proper photo pass from the venue or something. It's so difficult to get a good photograph of a drummer because sometimes like you think that you've got a good one and then the singer will block as well, or maybe the
Yeah,
bass player.
yeah, no, it's a nightmare, honestly. I mean, there's been some amazing photographers who've got some amazing pictures of me. So I'm not going to say they're all the same, and it's not even their fault half the time because they just don't have the angle. Um, it
Yeah.
is what it is. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is. I understand it, but sometimes you do get a bit sad when the photographs come through and there's like singular pictures or group pictures of the other three, but they can't find you. And I understand why. I'm not delusional, but it would be nice sometimes to have a couple of pictures.
But you ever
Just
thought like ask them if maybe they could have the drummer at the front because they used to do that,
oh
and
no,
they
I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that. I'm not the it's not my job to be the centre of attention, is it? If you're being honest. And I might have ADHD a little bit, so I do want it. I do want attention as much as I can get it. But in general, it's not my job. My job is to stay solid at the back, keep the tempo, and occasionally shout a few lyrics as well.
Yes. Well, my last question is: what would be your advice to aspiring drummers or musicians in general?
Uh, in general, it would just be make sure you have something. This is more for bands than musicians because I think individual musicians, it's very hard for me to tell people what to do. And if people have crafts, I might not know anything. I think more so for bands, I'd have more advice. So number one would be when you start out, gig as much as you possibly can. Take as many support slots. Don't worry, especially in your first few months and even years. Don't worry about people telling you shouldn't be gigging this much. You just need to get your name out there and do as many gigs as you possibly can. If you do that, you will get more promoters reach out to you. You will get better as well. You will get a lot better. You will work out what songs work, what songs don't work,
Yeah,
um, and you'll meet people who will help you with your next gig and your next gig because you never know which band is going to be the hottest band in the world. The
that's
more
true.
people you can know and build relationships with, the more people you're going to have a chance to play with. So that would be my first advice: just play as much as you can. But it would also be develop a bit of a niche as well. There's a lot of bands in and around the country doing a very, very similar thing, and you need to do something a little. I think in order to kind of have any success, you've got to have your own little niche, your own little quirk, your own little thing you do a little bit differently. Um,
Yeah.
Never shy away from being unique. That's one word. Never
Oh,
shy away from being unique.
that's a really good one. Never shy away from being unique. Oh, I like that one. Thank
Yeah,
you. That's really good. Yeah. Well, do you want to just sort of like invite them again to your headline gig in London before I let you go?
absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely love it. If you want to come, it's a free ticket. The links for the free tickets. I can send it over. Absolutely love to. Anyone who wants to
Yeah.
come to that gig in London, feel free.
And it's the old, so like,
The
what's it
old
called?
last blue. The old last blue.
Yeah, the old last movie. Yeah, so in London, and on the 25th of April. That's right.
20th of
Yeah.
April.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jack. Jack Rainbow. I mean, I really like that name.
Thank you
So,
so much for having me.
yeah, thank you, and good luck with everything, and hopefully we can sort of like look forward to a new album. Yeah, and yeah, see you in the band again soon.
Absolutely love
Someday.
to. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me on.
Yeah. Oh no, you. Thank you for saying yes to us, Chama. And so enjoy the rest of your weekend. And you've celebrated Happy St. Patrick's Day already yesterday. You
Yeah,
said.
me celebrating today. It's a bit boring today, but
Yeah,
yeah, I celebrated last night, so I've got my
yeah,
fix.
yeah. Well, just sort of like have a rest, and then because it's gonna be another brand new week tomorrow. So
Yeah,
yeah, so enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I'll see you again soon.
thank
Thanks
you so
again,
much.
Jack.
Thanks for having
Take care.
me. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Oh, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live. That's so amazing. I still couldn't believe his real name is Jack Rainbow. I mean, I know this. I mean, it's like, have you ever heard of anyone so like Rainbow? You know, like no. But anyway, so yeah, thank you all so much. Um, we'll be back next week, next Sunday, with another amazing drummer. He's actually so like more of a main singer now than a drummer, but he was a drummer. Or he still is a drummer, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, keep an eye out for the guest announcement post next week, and hope to see you all again on Sunday. And enjoy the rest of the weekend. And if you're celebrating, you know, tonight, St. Patrick's Day, just be careful when you're drinking because I know I know it's all about drinking, isn't it? But yeah. Anyways, thank you all so much. As always, love music, love life, love drummers, and hope to see you all again soon. Take care always. Bye for now. Bye.